Ciao ragazzi, my name is Anthony. Welcome back to Inter Worldwide. We've got a nice 8, 9, 10 people who have joined us already. Shout out to you if you have, and shout out to my two friends, one very close by, one on the other side of the planet. What's going on, Mr. Matt Pickham from Southwest Sydney? It's good to see you, man.
It's sunny outside. It's the first time we've had sun in a while, so
Yeah,
it's nice. Good to
legit.
always wake up with Inter winning in the morning, which is fantastic.
Legit, I didn't realize until you reminded me, and I looked outside. The sun is actually out today. That's really nice. And Louis joining us all the way from Toronto, man. It's good to have you back, bro. The last time we had you on the channel, we were like so chilled because I think Conte was just taking a piss on the league, and you and I were just rapping it, man. That's what was happening.
Oh yeah, we were comfortable, so there was nothing to complain about.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're an optimist on your best day, so I'm glad to have you here on a good day because you're someone who can fluctuate. On a bad day, you could go either way, man.
I will try to be as positive as possible, but not crazy. It can't be crazy because you never know what's
exactly. Fair call, man. Fair call. Today we lined up against our preseason peers. Shout out to the 15 people that are here. I might as well acknowledge that. Ciao Nicola, Emiliano's in the house as well. King Darian, Kamal, and Gerald. Seeing as though you guys are regulars here, I'm just going to let you know there's more content coming up on the Football Worldwide platform in about 8 hours' time. I'm linking up with our good friend Uncle Sharma to do a review of the Mercato so far, so it should be fun. Thank you to the 20 people that are with us. Like the video and subscribe if you are new. I didn't actually watch the game live, that's for sure. I've watched about 33 minutes worth of extended highlights, so I feel like I've got a half-decent grasp of how this preseason match went. Usually goes the same way. Inter run out 4-1 victors. Goals to, I think, 2 for Lautaro, 1 for Tuco Correa, and the other one for Danilone, for D'Ambrosio, who headed in and started it. He's going to be a key player in our season again. I can just see it. I can just absolutely see him coming up for a few key moments. I'll go over to Louis first in Toronto. Did you manage to catch any of the game? What time was it kickoff for you as well? And what were your reactions to some of our performances?
I didn't catch it. I saw the lineups and I saw the goals, but I was at work, and honestly, we played Lugano like 100 times, so
yeah,
I couldn't leave work to watch it. But I was interested in a few performances, so I was hoping maybe you guys can tell me a little bit about that.
Definitely, man. I've watched a fair few like just mini fan compilations that have already gone up on Twitter, and most notably today, some good performances from D'Ambrosio, from Lautaro, from Darmian, from Correa, and especially Aslani as well. So some positives to there to look for. But I think I dare say, Matt, everybody's eye was on this game, but most everyone's eyes pretty much on the Mercato and how we're going to finish that. So what was your reaction to this match today? And then we'll go into some specifics.
Yeah, what impressed me most was our front two. Lukaku and Lautaro were back at it. Straight away, the chemistry was there. In 65 minutes of football, they played together. I saw more link-up between those two than I saw with Lautaro and Dzeko all of last year. So that just tells you how good they were this morning. I thought Agume in the midfield, he started a little bit sort of, I wouldn't say confident. He was very nervous. I think the best thing that happened was he tried to play a through ball for Lukaku, and Lukaku goes, put it to my feet, put it to my feet. From that moment on, pretty much everything he passed was straight to Lukaku's feet, and it was perfect. So Agume, as a backup midfielder, he'll be good. For Aslani, he had his moments. He had moments of brilliance and then almost moments of disaster. There was a couple of passes he was playing from that register position where Brozovic would usually be, and he was sort of he was a bit iffy with some of the passes. There was interceptions, but the midfield itself didn't really help him. Mkhitaryan, I don't think, was too good. Agume, as I said, was a bit passive to start. So Aslani didn't really have that support there, which he would usually have with Barella or Brozovic or Hakan, for example. And then we move on to the defence. Again, those back three won't be our back three. Exactly. Fontana Rossa, he was a bit sort of calm in moments and also had a few nervous moments. D'Ambrosio was out of position on a couple of times. Damian was very quiet. And then we move on to our wing backs. Gossens didn't really have much opportunity. Bellanova got more of the ball, and he had a few good crosses. But Gossens, for me, once he gets a bit more space and time, he'll be better. There just wasn't there today. So that's pretty much my wrap-up of what I saw.
Yeah, fair enough. Shout out to Fontana Rossa. It's only the 10th time he's pulled on the senior shirt, whether it be for friendlies or for whatnot. So it's nice to see those names in the preseason, and I'll be keeping an eye on him this season as we go as well. But I wanted to ask Louis while he's here, with our signings that we've made so far. First of all, the gentleman that's up on the screen, we've got Mkhitaryan. We've signed Aslani for some midfield depth as well, which I think will come in handy. Those two players plus a gourmet, like Matt said. I'm really happy that we've switched to a more technical depth side of midfield. We've been used to looking at our bench over the last couple of years and just seeing a lot of meat, a lot of muscle, which also sometimes can pay dividends. I'm still willing to clap Arturo Vidal out the door. I know he wasn't the most popular signing and it came at a sacrifice of a younger midfielder, but he left with 3 trophies tucked between his legs, and now he's going back to South America where he'll be happy. The fact that Vecino is going out as well, and we've replaced those two with the likes of Mkhitaryan and Aslani. Are you happy with the more technical side of the depth of our midfield?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm happy that, because last year depth was a huge problem for us. Because like 11 on 11, we could pretty much take anybody, but then in certain games you see where we have to go to our bench, we're not strong in the midfield, and there was no player that can take Brozovic out of the game and keep the same tempo. So I'm glad. Hopefully, Aslani can go into that role. Even though I kind of prefer Ogume, and I think this guy's assessment was pretty good. Where sometimes he looks really passive, but he has a very good read on the game, and he can intercept and tackle very well. So if we're ever in a pinch, and it's good to know that he could do at least that kind of stuff to keep us in the game. With this transfer market, it's probably one of the most wild ones I remember, because there's such a wide range of outcomes where if we get all our targets and keep Skriniar, then maybe this is bold, but honestly, I think we can compete deep in Champions League. But if we don't, then we're looking at maybe second, third place, maybe getting out of the group. So it's so hard to tell with the way the rumors are going and our financial circumstances and whatnot.
Yeah, it will really depend on a couple of deals, man. A couple of deals will be the difference between first and second this season. That we can almost guarantee. This link up at the top, it does excite me. I think it takes a lot of the pressure off the Correas and the Dzekos in our squad, who are trying to be the make and break, the makeup for the numbers. Literally, when Marotta signed these two players, he wasn't looking to replace Lukaku's physicality. He wasn't looking to replace his technique. He was looking to replace his numbers. And you can't replace Lukaku's numbers with one person unless you are getting someone like an Osimhen or an Immobile. And at the end of the day, we weren't really going to fish overseas for top tier talent, because you can't afford what's overseas if you can't really afford what's in Italy. But what happened is that it was so close, Louis. It was so close, man. A couple of extra games or a couple of extra moments go away, and we're looking at Marotta like you've performed the most godlike damage control in the history of man in Correa and Dzeko. It's fallen just short, but I would not be against having these two on our squad next season. I really hope that the last 2 days, with the traction of Alexis Sanchez picking up his leaving and Andrea Pinamonti moving to Monza, probably, we can go into next season with depth up front, as well as depth in midfield, the depth up front being the likes of Dzeko and Correa. I think if you're asking them to dial it back a little bit and play reactionary to our team and not try and be provocative and be the be-all and end-all of our goal scoring and our attack, I think we're going into next season looking a little bit more better. I'll go to you first, Louis, then I'll ask Matt the same question.
Well, going into next season, what do I think?
So according to next season, you think the depth on the bench in attack with Dzeko and Correa, asking them to do a lot less, it'll pay dividends.
Absolutely, because I think with Dzeko, we got to a point where you could see he's got flashes of his class and he shows it and he's had it before, but we got the absolute most out of him, and I don't think he can start again. But so, like you're saying, that if we reduce his role, he's going to have that much more of an impact.
Yeah, fair call. And over to you, Matt, for the same question.
Yeah, agree. I think today, if anyone that did watch the game, I know it's Lugano, but I think we found Correa's best position. That number 10 position, I think, is his best position. From the start of the second half till the 65th minute, when he was playing as that number 10, his link-up play with both Lautaro and both Lukaku was phenomenal. And
really?
I have not seen that. Yeah, if you can, watch that 15 minutes. He was fantastic. And it's like he's almost talked to Lautaro and gone, what can I do to be good at this position? He's gone, just follow Lukaku. Everywhere Lukaku goes, he'll play you and just run off him. And that happened so many times. It was beautiful to see. And He got his goal and he also got this assist. It was fantastic.
I got a quick question. How do you think Dybala would look in that role?
Again, it all depends on if he comes. I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here. We've heard so many conflicting reports, but if he just follows that lead of Lukaku, you can tell I'm a big Lukaku fan, but he's going to make this team so much better. The link-up play, we didn't have that last year, and we came second in the league. This year, that's why I'm looking forward to this season, because we've got a player who knows how to play like a team player. He's not individual, he's a team player, and on and off the field too.
That release from Onana was fantastic. That was absolutely dope. That was really, really cool. I saw the goal that he conceded today, and I saw some people like flapping their arms about him, man. I don't really think it was his fault. In an ideal world, we clear the ball out of the box like a normal team does, and you don't really end up in that situation. But saw Handanovic make some nice saves in the first half, and depth on the pitch with the ball. We've got some depth in goal as well. We know now for a fact we've got 2 goalkeepers for the first time in how many years? I want some fans to think about that for the second. When was the last time we actually looked at our club and went, oh, crap, if it's not Handanovic, it's Padelli. If it's not Handanovic, it's Radu. If it's not those guys, it's Bernie, which might as well be wearing like a Humphrey Bear suit or a Barney the Dinosaur suit. He's a mascot, bro. He was never a goalkeeper. Bless him. He had the best job on the planet. I'd trade him yesterday, but it's good to get this result, and it's good to just move forward into what's still going to be a positive Mercato, in my opinion, boys. Like this sacrifice that we're going to have to make, and I'm not optimistic about it because I do still think that Skriniar is going to be the one. However, literally the latest of the latest news we've got is that PSG are inquiring for an alternative as we speak. It's Koundé from Sevilla, who's not going to come cheap either. I know he's an absolute staunch, but if there's a possibility of us retaining the services of Skriniar, I think that we could see it do a complete 180 in a sense where he becomes the focal point of the club, gets a renewal and the armband. It's really an all or nothing sort of thing. There's still a big part of me, though, Matt, that thinks a Denzel Dumfries 40M move to Manchester United is on the cards as pretty much right there waiting just for Beppe Marotta when it's coming through. I'll go to Matt first, and then I'll ask you, Louis, how you think our big sale is going to pan out.
Yeah, on Skriniar, there's conflicting reports everywhere you look. One reporter's saying it's 65 million, the other one's saying it's 50 million plus a player, the other one's saying Inter's asking for 80 million, Inter's asking for 70 million. There's just numbers everywhere. If we look at Dumfries, can we let him go? I know 40 million is a massive number, but is Bellanova the guy that can replace him? Is Damian the guy on that right that can replace him?
We're not giving Dumfries enough respect, are we, man? Because he adapted so well in what's probably the most difficult field position on the pitch to adapt to in Serie A from a league like the Eredivisie. We're not giving him the credit he deserves.
And I think like he performed so well late in the season when he actually adapted, and we saw Hakimi do the same. It took Hakimi 15 games to get in there, and Dumfries, it took about the same. The only good thing I saw this morning, and this, I would never ever say this unless I was focused on this guy, Zazzaro played well this morning. I know it's Lugano, but just that shave of the head, maybe losing his hair is the best thing that could have happened. The strength has come. I don't know, but we'll see in these next few fixtures what happens. But Dumfries, he's an integral part of this team, and I don't want to lose him. I know it's 40 million. I know it's a lot of money, but it's a big loss if we do go down that route.
I don't think there's someone in line to replace him straight away. Bellanova, if he is going to be the replacement, is going to take a long time to get himself adapted from a smaller side up to Inter. But I don't know. We'll see what happens, man. I think at the end of the day, it's only going to be one player that we lose, Matt, and I think we're in a position to survive and recover from it. But Skriniar will hurt a lot. He really will. Your boy Ozzy is in the house, Louis, man. You go say it, Louis. Dybala plus Bremer and keeping the Skriniar, and it equals the treble, man. If we were to keep Skriniar and get both of these players, I expect us to get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League with that team, Louis.
Yeah, I agree 100%. For me, I would sacrifice any player on this team to have a back line of Bastoni, Skriniar, and Bremer. Because to me, Bremer only makes sense if Skriniar stays. Otherwise, it's a sideways move. I don't like selling defenders because I think their value is far higher than what you get on the market because they have so many intangibles, like Skriniar. And the thing is with Dumfries, right? I like him a lot. So like it would hurt selling because he's a good kid. Like he cares, he plays hard, he learned quickly. But if you look, like even Candreva got really good statistics in the wing back position. Now Dumfries is obviously better, but it just goes to show how much protection Barella and Skriniar can provide for a right wing back, which gives them basically liberty all game. And Hakimi got the benefit of that too. So I wouldn't mind selling Dumfries or De Vrij. Honestly, I wouldn't even think about it. I just want that back line because we have a window of opportunity here of a once in a lifetime back three, and we got to use it as best we can. We absolutely have to.
In Serie A, that sort of back three, it just saves you so many points throughout the season. And you don't need to even say that as a fluke or a hope. A back three of Bastoni, Skriniar, and Bremer are going to be the difference makers between points in Serie A domestically. And it just looks too good to be true. I don't believe the rumors that Cairo is going to hold out for a bigger fee of anywhere over 30 mil. I think his hands are tied in this deal now. We all know that the release clause goes down to 15 million in January. Not that they would wait or Bremer would wait for that, but I think that we are going to find something in the middle ground, probably a loan with an obligation as well, so that the books stay as green as possible from now till the end of the season. Just before we move on, shout out to Nicola in the house, Mattia as well, currently in Italy on a holiday. Hope you're enjoying your time, my man. How come Lukaku didn't score? I think he had 3 shots on target, or sorry, 1 shot on target, 2 shots off target. Matt, you watched the whole game, didn't you?
Yeah. So he had one good opportunity, and it was that position where he gets it on the right hand of the box, drops his shoulder, beats a player, and then that'll come. That finish will come with time. He's still a bit rusty. His touch is improving. You can see the chemistry's there, but he doesn't need to score in these friendlies. When it comes to the league, that's when he'll score. That's when it matters.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, fair call. Shout out to Mo. Good to see you this morning on the Zil Sharma channel as well. Shout out to Lord Figo. Dumfries must stay. De Vrij is the player we must sell. Yeah, but, people aren't really willing to pay for our trash. Not that De Vrij is trash, although, he's just definitely the player that can fetch us the money that we want to keep our head above water. We can't keep changing right backs every season. I would have to agree. Sub-Zero says, I'd rather sell Dumfries and De Vrij than sell Skriniar. Dumfries is important to the team, but we have to sacrifice somebody. Unfortunately, our dead weight aren't going to get the amount that we need, although it is impressive to see Pinamonti leave for 20 million. If it does actually go through, I'm very, very happy with that. Very happy with that. I heard that we're going to attach a buyback clause to that. I'm just thinking, how many more times are we going to attach a buyback clause to this brother? Are we going to be attaching clauses to him when he's 29, 30 years old going overseas? I think it's just best to cut ties with Pinamonti at this point. What are you saying, Matt and Louis?
Yeah, set him free.
Yeah. Let him do his thing, man. Yeah. He's got a good mid-table career ahead of him, man.
Yeah, I agree. That's his home. Yeah.
Nice one. Tim, why are you at work? I thought it was still school holidays, man. Enjoy your last week, or are they doing things differently up in the Gold Coast at the moment, man? Eduardo says, did you see D'Ambrosio's post-match comments about Skriniar? I did see them. They were very, very interesting because even Danilo sounded like he had absolutely no idea what's going on. He was like very, very hopeful. Matt, you want to elaborate a bit more on what he said?
I didn't see the comments.
Oh, you didn't see it? Oh, cool. Louis, did you see it?
No.
Ah, cool. So D'Ambrosio basically said on camera, like, Skriniar is a part of the hardcore of this team, and I really hope that we plan on keeping the hardcore players, like the players that are in the core. He's very, very well valued. So I don't know if he knows something that we don't. It actually sounded like he was just as much in the dark as everybody else, man. So we could be at the point in the market where even the ones playing the ball, even the ones with the ball in their hand, they're still not 100% sure with what's going on, because I try to look at the mannerisms of directors and I try to look at the mannerisms of the team and how they behave and respond to rumors and stuff like that. And this one really is one of the biggest fence-sitting deals that I've seen in a long time. It's one of those deals where dominoes are in place to fall in other directions. So I guess I'll ask the boys pretty much straight up before we move on to Dybala. Is Skriniar leaving, yes or no, Louis?
No.
No, you don't think he is?
No.
Can you tell me what do you think is going on in the background? Do you think this is all just a flex?
Yeah, because you know what? Marotta, he plays his cards close to his chest. And there's not one person in that entire organization. There's a lot of dumb ones too, but there's not one person in that organization that wants to sell Skriniar.
Yeah.
And I think honestly they're trying to avoid it at all costs. And like the guy the guy wants to stay here. It's very obvious. So do whatever it takes to keep him. The guy's a club icon. Like, you put him up there with all the greats. I put him up there too. You don't sell those guys, no matter what.
Exactly right, man. I'd have to agree. Mattia's going to visit the San Siro on Sunday, take some nice photos, take some nice videos, man. Gio says, stop by just to say hello. Got to get back to work. Thanks, Gio. Appreciate it, man. Bro, I'm pretty confident, Louis, that we can get this Dybala deal over the line, because I don't believe for a second that no other clubs are inquiring about this guy. I think for a long time he and Marotta have been in cahoots. I think as long as 2 years. I think before it went south at Juve. I truly do believe before it went south at Juve, Marotta, when he left Juve, was on the phone to this guy and his entourage saying, if you don't get what you want in Turin, I want you, out of spite and pettiness, just like me, to come over to your rivals, because we're petty Italians like that. And you can be petty with us. Like, let's just call a spade here. Like, let's not beat around the bush whatsoever. This is a petty game for Marotta, because Dybala is a luxury signing for us. We don't necessarily need him. But the way that we've pressed this deal, and it's still an if we do end up signing him, it's finesse, backhands, left, right, and center, man. Like, this guy has dropped his wage. We're going by almost 35% now. Yeah. And we're at a point where we're making the market look desperate for Dybala to come to Inter. Juventus's best player, highest GAs, we've made the market look desperate for him to come to Inter. It won't look so good if he ends up going to sign for a Napoli or a Roma. But to me, all signs are pointing that there is going to be an announcement out of thin air that says that it's going down for us. Yeah. Do you think Dybala's coming in, yes or no?
I think it's already a done deal. It just needs to be a formality. And the reason is because, like, Dybala, for some reason, this is an interesting summer because there's no real market for him, right? He doesn't seem the type that wants to play in EPL, right? There's no home in Spain for him, except, like, you got the Sevillas and then, like, the fringe teams and stuff. Atletico can't use him. Madrid and Barcelona can't afford him, or he doesn't fit tactically. So we're his best opportunity, because Dybala is not, like, it's hard for a team to rely on him as, like, your number one, number two, because he picks up knocks a lot, right?
Yeah.
But he's still talented enough to command a high salary. So we're the only one who can, like, we could kind of manage his workload and still get the most out of him here. Plus, he's familiar with Marotta. And I think Marotta knows that he has no real alternatives, so he's just playing the agent down to the wire.
100%, man. It's that agent fee that's representing the biggest pain in the culo at the moment. So I think it's just a waiting game of Paolo equalizing the situation as well. The thing is that even, and as I've said many times on this channel, even with his injury record, the bloke still took the pitch 36 or 38 times for Juventus altogether last season in all competitions. It was their highest GA contributor. And every time I watched them play, it had to be something to do with him that turned a draw into a win, or even get a definitive goal or the first goal. I remember in at least 4 or 5 games, he was the one to break the deadlock in under 10 minutes under Allegri. The guy changes games. The guy has the ability to shift the game in your direction and give you the points, even if he's not playing well. I'm happy to take him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he puts us over the top, to be honest with you. Because he could play with Lautaro or Lukaku, it's no problem. He could link up with the midfield, no problem. And like you said, like, the last few years when we play Juve, we've been pretty good, but the only player that scares me is Dybala, man.
Yeah.
Because one turn or one little look, he's that clever. And we need that clever player, because if you notice, like, Lautaro makes a lot of very good runs and no one picks him up. Zeko's not going to pick him up. I don't know if Lukaku's going to thread them through, but I think Dybala gets Lautaro to the 25-30 goal ceiling that he can do. That's what I think, yeah.
I think someone made a comment interesting here, and I'll go to Matt next. Yido says, I'm worried about Gosens. We lost our best progressor of the ball in the team in Perisic, and Gosens doesn't dribble that much. Do you think that's a big part, though, Yido, of us shifting in a direction where our players in midfield are all ball-progressing players? Aslani is a ball-progressing player, so is Mkhitaryan, so is Paulo Dybala. Basically, everybody in the middle of the park now is a forward-thinking player. And I really think that that's going to be where a lot of our work goes down. I actually believe a lot of our tactical dimension might start to shift away from wingbacks this season. And it's going to be noticeable to a degree for most people because our attack has been focally driven through wingbacks over the last three to 4 seasons. I'm talking 80% of our attack is going through the wingbacks. And I really think that's where we're going to catch a lot of teams off guard this season. Matt, I'll ask you the same question I asked Louis when you departed in peace. Do you think Dybala's coming in, man?
Not unless we sell. Not unless we sell Sanchez and Dzeko. Like, they're the two.
And Dzeko as well.
I think both have to go away. I think we've got to get rid of 2 wages to bring in his. Dybala, it just makes our whole formation change. I know Inzaghi's wanting to do that, but Inzaghi's coming out and saying we've got our attackers. I don't know if it's mind games. It's very hard to predict at the moment.
It is because the mind games start earlier than they used to. You know, we'll barely scratch the surface halfway through July. We've still got about a month and a half, just over, of the transfer market remaining. So, and we all know the best action happens in the last pretty much 7 to 10 days. So it really could be one of those things where we're banging on this drum for another 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and we still don't know the outcome. But players want to be in preseason as soon as possible, especially those players that are trying to fundamentally make something out of the next 5 months, because it is a World Cup year. I know most people have forgotten because usually it would have been over by now, but there's a World Cup coming up in about 5.5 months' time, and there are a lot of players that need to make sure that they are consistently applicable in their home base of work to make sure that they're getting the call-up. Because the call-ups won't be too far away either. Not a fan of the 3-4-1-2. It compromises a lot of balance. But Beta, like, this is what I'm saying. We need to make a little bit of a tactical shift here, because if this sort of Inter under Inzaghi was to stay with the same blueprint as it was last season, we could start to get figured out a little bit more, man. You know, we were playing a sort of attacking dimension last season that required a hitman, Eden Dzeko, to drop back and pick the ball up because we were lacking a forward-playing technicality in our midfield. We are trying to move away from that. We're not bringing in players like Mkhitaryan or Dybala if he does come in. You know, we are going to change. There is going to be some change this season in Inter, and I'm very excited to see it, to be honest. Rocky says, I would get rid of Dumfries and Sanchez, even if we pay him a lump sum. We are going to have to pay him a lump sum. These South American merchants never leave without a bag, man. That's for sure.
No.
To get Dybala and Bremer and keep Skriniar. Dumfries was good, but lacks skill to get past defenders, and his final pass was pretty poor, man. Look, once again, for a league that's very hard to adapt in, Denzel Dumfries adapted to it probably quicker than Hakimi did. Yeah, his end product and his overall output wasn't as flashy as Hakimi, but I actually think he's a smarter footballer. His tactical awareness was a lot better than Ashraf's was. And, you know, that's just another thing. If it was to come out and we were to keep Dumfries next season, you definitely wouldn't see me complaining about it. That's for sure. Nicola says, is he used as a cam and Chala will be on the bench? Look, I also, boys, this is the next question. I expect to see a lot more rotation next season. I expect for Simone to not wait until in the last 10 minutes to make some subs, although he was sort of fluctuating last season. Sometimes he'd wait until the 75th minute. Sometimes it was the 53rd minute, and you'd see 4 players warming up on the sideline already, and he'd be executing substitutions straight away. So I guess we'll finish off. It's been almost half an hour. There's 27 people here right now. Thank you. Matt, where do you see Inter changing the most lineup-wise and tactical-wise next season, then?
Yeah, tactical, I'll start with that one. I see us going through the middle of the park, which is, as you said, something we haven't done for a very long time. We've been so predictable. Wing back, cross, header. I don't want that anymore. I want to go through teams. That's how you break down those smaller teams, and that's where we really struggled in parts of last season. Again, on the other part of it, substitutions and how we're going to play that way, I do see us rotating a lot more with this better squad than I thought we had last year. There is more depth, and those inconsistencies we had probably come from players being burnt out. The amount of minutes these guys had to play, the Barellas, the Brozovic, the Hakans, the Dzekos, the Lautaros, these guys, they were burnt out by December or January, sorry. You'll see that's when our decline started hitting. Halfway through January, we had so many games back-to-back, international qualifiers, friendlies, you name it. We were in every competition there was under the sun. So that's where I see us changing the rotation. And also Lukaku, I see him being a lot fitter than obviously Dzeko was, and playing a lot more minutes to help the team in that sense. So that's where I see us changing our tactical awareness and the way we play off the field.
Yeah, fair call. Over to you, Louis. Where do you see us changing the most next season?
I agree with Matt. I think we're going to rotate a lot more. I think we might see more of that advanced center attack midfield position. Because I mean, Brozovic and Brozovic isn't perfect for a double pivot, but we controlled the ball so well last year, and we moved it, and it was very different from Conte. Like it seems like Inzaghi has a lot more faith and trust in the creativity of his players. I felt like we were a far more attacking side, and we took a lot more risks with Inzaghi, and I think that's why players like playing with him. Whereas Conte, we were very rigid. We wouldn't change formation or we wouldn't change shape at all. So I think the players we got, and this is why I'm happy that we're getting more technical players, is because we're going to play a more technical game and we're going to play it through the middle a lot more. Because spamming crosses from wing back, you burn out your wing back, and it's a low percentage opportunity swinging in crosses. It doesn't work, so we need to go away from that.
We were coasting off the back of a really good link up because a player like Perisic, he had mastered that whole cross game in Serie A by then, and his connection with the wing backs on the other side and with Dzeko as well. But like Matt said, there was a period around December, January where everyone was just missing everything on their plate. Lautaro and Dzeko were burnt out to the point where they honestly could not finish a sentence, man. It was really, really bad. We had to wait for a 5-0 drubbing of Salernitana for Toro to get his confidence back up. And by then, there were just so many games back-to-back that were coming. So the technicality and the depth is very, very important. I would have to agree. Matthias says, God, I'm looking forward to Dzeko and Lautaro not starting for sure, but I'm already looking forward to the prospect of bringing Eden Dzeko on with 20 minutes to go. Like, this is the sort of player that you really want to come off your bench to help you save or win a game. The only problem is do you have 5.5 million euros in your bank account to pay someone for 20 minutes per game? In an ideal world, you've got the money to pay these Dzekos on the bench, but we're not Manchester City, so it is what it is. And just going off the back of what Louis said, it was a big pain in the ass at the time, but the best thing in Marcelo Brozovic's career was to be placed in a double pivot with Roberto Gagliardini and Vecino on top of that triangle and have to do every single thing under the sun. I mean, I still remember that market in the middle of January, just before December, where he was apparently on the way to the airport to go to Sevilla. And in the blink of an eye, he was our most important player, literally in the blink of an eye. I cannot believe it still happened. And now when he's not involved, now when he's not starting in midfield, we dial it back 2 or 3 tiers, man. So things are still looking okay. Matt, any parting words? I'm sure we'll see you on the channel pretty soon. A nice quick 30-minute episode here today.
Yeah, just the last thing. It's been said a lot, but this Perisic loss, not just offensively but defensively, is our biggest loss.
It's going to hurt.
Like you see, Gossen's. The problem is with Gossen, if he goes forward, he can't get back like Perisic got back. I know he's quick, but he is more focused on the offensive side of things, where he makes those long runs deep into the box and hopes for a ball to come to him, where Perisic is the opposite. Perisic was more, he would make the run, but he would have the ball at his feet, find a player and do it all himself. Where if we look at the two, Perisic, it is sort of, we underestimated how important he was to the defensive aspect. He covered Bastoni so well. Yeah. And the problem is now we've lost him. The last man in the box, it's not going to be Perisic. It's not going to be him covering up, him helping Handanovic on several occasions. We're not going to see that. So just be aware that
100%.
We're going to lack that this year.
Yeah, for sure. It might be something that we need to fix in January if worst comes to worst, man. But, you know, this is really the season where Bastoni is going to show whether or not he is a 7 out of 10 or a potential 9.5 out of 10, man. He's got everything that he needs to succeed, but he is going to have to step it up an extra 2 or 3 degrees this season, man. And I'm really happy that he's here because you want those sort of players in your squad. Louis, thank you so much for joining us, bro. I really appreciate it. Any parting words, my brother?
Parting words is we're going to get Dybala.
All right.
We're going to keep Skriniar, and we're going to get Bremer within the next 5 days.
Oh, man, I'll bring you back on if that happens for sure, man.
Yeah,
because
please do.
That's proper optimism. That's proper. Actually, one more thing before we go. This guy's going to have his work cut out for him this season, but I think he did a really, really good job last season considering what he was dealt with in the transfer market. And in a day and age where consistency is important, I was talking about this with my mate 2 days ago, and as we analyzed every factor, he looked at me and he goes, he's a Liverpool fan who's like a real hardcore Liverpool fan, travels around Europe to watch them and everything. And he goes, if Klopp's taught me anything, and if managerial-wise in the modern football's taught you anything, if your manager's on a good thing straight away, you need to nurture that, because that does not come up in football very often.
Yes.
And it turned into a conversation of how I think we could actually build something quite special with this guy if we have the patience with the financial side of things and with the fan demanding side of things. Because my last question to you would be, if not Inzaghi, who, Matt? Who?
No one. Inzaghi's fantastic. Inzaghi, his style of play, to come in after Conte, lose all those players, and still get second and go deep into the Champions League like he did. Fantastic.
2 cup wins as well. 2 cup wins as well. You can't forget. He loves those cup finals, man. And we all know that he'll do everything he can to get us as deep into those cup competitions as possible. So good stuff. Thank you to Simone. Thank you to Matt. Thank you to Louis. Thank you to everybody who joined in on the chat as well. We had a high of 36 people here, which was fantastic. Make sure you like the video. Subscribe if you are new, and join me again in about 7 hours time, 7.5 hours time. I'll put a link on this channel, but I'll be discussing the entire Serie A Mercato, and we'll get the wrap up of what's happened so far with our good friend Uncle Shama. So thank you to Matt. Thank you once again to Louis, and thank you to all who tuned in. Forza Inter Worldwide.
Forza Inter.
Ciao.